There are moments when the night sky cracks open, when the calm we thought we owned is snatched away in a thunderclap of chaos. News travels like fire through dry grass. A strike on a leader's stronghold, the trembling of a city, the fall of a plane. The world holds its breath, hearts pound, and the question hangs heavy. What will we do now? In times when the earth trembles beneath our feet, it is natural to feel the pull of fear tugging at the edges of our hearts. The human instinct is to run, to shield ourselves from the noise, the chaos, the uncertainty. We are creatures of safety. And when safety is stripped away in an instant, when explosions shatter the quiet, when the air itself feels charged with danger, we are reminded just how fragile our sense of stability is. Yet, it is in these very moments, when the ground is no longer steady and the night is split open by chaos, that the truest measure of strength is revealed. Strength is not an absence of trembling. It is the resolve to remain standing when the world shakes around you. There is something unshakable in a soul that chooses not to bow when everything else is falling. The buildings may crack, the sirens may wail, but the person who plants their feet in the soil of courage and says, "I will not be moved," becomes a lighthouse in the storm for others. Courage is not born in the easy days when the sun is shining and the roads are clear. It is forged in the nights when darkness closes in, when the headlines scream of destruction, and when the voices of doubt seem louder than the voices of hope. Courage says, even if the ground splits beneath me, I will not allow my spirit to sink. When the air is filled with uncertainty and the horizon is clouded by smoke, people will look for someone, anyone who is unafraid to stand their ground. Sometimes you are that person without realizing it. Sometimes you find yourself in the center of the storm, with others watching you to see if you will run or stay. And it is in that moment you must remember, your stance is not just for you. Your resilience becomes the shelter others take cover under. Your unshaken posture becomes the proof that stability is possible, even when the world appears to be unraveling. Standing steadfast is not about denying the danger. It is about acknowledging it and still deciding not to be controlled by it. The explosions, the sirens, the fear, they may demand that you shrink, but you answer with presence. You tell the fear it can make noise, but it cannot make your choices. This is the difference between those who are swept away by the current of chaos and those who plant their feet deep enough that no wave can uproot them. The ground may rumble with the sounds of conflict, but the soul that knows its own worth, its own strength, and its own purpose does not crumble so easily. You are not the sum of the disasters you survive. You are the way you survive them. And that survival is not simply breathing through the moment. It is claiming the moment as proof of your endurance. Every second you choose to stand is a declaration that fear will not be your master, and uncertainty will not be your compass. It is in that choice that you become something rare, a calm, steady presence in a world that is shaking itself apart. And when the shaking stops, it is those who remain standing who will guide the way forward. The world is never short of noise when trouble comes. In moments of crisis, the air becomes thick with whispers, half-truths, wild claims, and urgent demands. Voices rise on every side, calling for quick action, for retaliation, for immediate decisions made in the heat of emotion. The human heart, already unsettled by fear, can easily be swept away by the rush of it all. Panic spreads faster than the facts, and before long, people are moving not from wisdom but from the raw instinct to do something, anything, simply to feel in control again. Yet, in such moments, the strongest act is not haste but restraint, not noise but stillness. Clarity does not arrive in a frenzy. It comes to those willing to pause, to draw in a breath when everyone else is gasping for air. In a storm, the one holding the lantern must walk slowly, not blindly rush into the wind. So it is with leadership and with courage in uncertain times. If you allow panic to guide you, it will lead you into darkness every time. But if you stand still long enough to see where you are, to understand what truly lies ahead, you can make choices that endure beyond the noise of the moment. When news spreads of attacks, of destruction, of planes falling from the sky, the temptation is to respond with the same force and speed as the events themselves. But there is a power far greater than reaction. It is the power of measured, deliberate action. Not every voice deserves your ear, and not every alarm should set your feet running. Wisdom means knowing which words are truth and which are merely the echoes of fear. It means recognizing that silence, when chosen intentionally, can be a stronger answer than words shouted in the heat of confusion. Clarity is not about having all the answers. It is about refusing to be drowned by the questions. It is a discipline of decision to clear away the smoke so you can see what is truly burning. It demands patience in a world that prizes speed, and it requires the courage to wait when waiting feels unbearable. The one who acts with clarity does not waste their energy swinging wildly at shadows. Instead, they focus their strength on the real threats, the real opportunities, and the real possibilities for peace or victory. When the storm rages, many will look like they are moving forward, but in truth, they are simply being pushed by the winds. Clarity allows you to walk against the wind with purpose. It gives you the calm to speak words that settle hearts instead of stirring more unrest. It shapes your decisions into something that can be built upon, instead of something that will crumble under the weight of regret. And here is the truth few admit in moments of chaos. Those who can think clearly in the fire are the ones who will be trusted when the flames die down. They are the ones who will rebuild while others are still sifting through the ash. When you choose clarity over panic, you are not only protecting your own path, you are creating a path for others to follow. In the end, it is not the noise that shapes history, but the quiet, steady choices made by those who refuse to let confusion rule them. Power wears many disguises, and too often, the world mistakes the loudest voice for the strongest one. The clash of steel, the thunder of explosions, the roar of marching armies, these are the images people are taught to associate with strength. But real power is not always found in the noise. More often it is quiet, steady, deliberate. It is the kind of force that does not seek attention, yet moves mountains while others are still shouting about moving stones. It is patient enough to wait for the right moment, and wise enough to know that not every moment is worth claiming. There is a temptation, especially in turbulent times, to believe that action must be immediate and visible to matter. But the strongest leaders, the most resilient souls, understand that sometimes the greatest move is no move at all. At least not yet. Just as a master strategist does not reveal every plan on the battlefield, those who wield true power understand the value of holding back. They know that every word spent in haste is a weapon dulled, and every step taken without purpose can lead them farther from victory. Quiet power is built on discipline. It takes immense self-control to resist being pulled into the noise, to refuse the need to prove yourself through constant action. It takes strength to endure criticism from those who cannot see the plan, who demand proof of strength through displays of force. But there is a difference between power that is for show and power that is for change. The former seeks applause, the latter seeks results. And results do not always need an audience to grow. History is full of moments where restraint proves stronger than aggression. In every generation there are those who understand that power is not measured by how quickly you strike, but by how effectively you strike when the moment is right. There is a patience in real strength that frightens those who rely only on noise. They do not understand how someone can wait while the world shouts for movement. But the one who waits with purpose knows that every day of patience is another day to prepare, to strengthen, to ensure that when the time comes the impact is decisive and undeniable. This is not to say that action has no place. Far from it. But action without strategy is like a blade swung blindly in the dark. It may strike something, but it will not win the battle. True power understands timing. It knows that a single move made with precision can outweigh 1,000 moves made in haste. And it trusts that strength is not diminished by silence, but often amplified by it. In a world addicted to noise, being silent can feel unnatural, but silence is not weakness when it is chosen. Silence can be the shield that protects your vision from being trampled by chaos. It can be the soil in which plans take root away from prying eyes. And when the time for silence ends, the voice that emerges is all the more commanding, because it has not been wasted on every passing storm. The lesson is simple yet difficult to practice. Do not confuse noise with strength, and do not feel compelled to match the volume of the world. The ones who make the greatest changes are often those whose strength is invisible until the moment it is revealed. And when it is, there is no mistaking it for anything less than power. A city can rise again from ashes. Its buildings can be rebuilt, its roads repaved, its skyline restored to beauty. But there are things in this world that cannot be reconstructed once they are broken, no matter how many hands work to piece them together. Trust is one of them. Dignity is another. The bond between human beings, forged through years of shared struggle, laughter and pain, is perhaps the most fragile treasure we hold. And when conflict strikes, when fear and anger sweep through like an unrelenting storm, it is these treasures that are most at risk of being lost forever. In the heat of chaos, it is easy to forget what truly matters. Leaders may focus only on strategy and victory. Citizens may focus on safety and survival. And in the process, the humanity that binds them begins to erode. Harsh words replace understanding, suspicion replaces faith, and division replaces unity. Once those bonds are frayed, rebuilding them becomes a task far more difficult than repairing walls or clearing rubble. Physical wounds heal. The wounds of trust and dignity can remain open for a lifetime. To protect what cannot be rebuilt requires more than just strength. It demands wisdom, compassion, and foresight. It requires the courage to look beyond the immediate battle and see the long road that follows. In the midst of defending territory or ideals, one must also defend the spirit of the people. You cannot let the war outside destroy the peace within. Even as you fight to protect the land beneath your feet, you must also fight to protect the values and relationships that make that land worth standing on in the first place. History has shown again and again that nations can recover from devastation if their people still trust one another. But where trust has been broken, even the most beautiful cities can become hollow shells, lifeless despite their restored structures. That is why in moments of crisis the greatest leaders are those who guard not only their borders but also the hearts of their people. They speak in ways that unite rather than divide. They act in ways that preserve dignity rather than diminish it. And they make decisions that keep the door open for peace even when walking the road of war. Compassion in conflict is not weakness. It is a form of strength that outlasts any victory claimed by force. It is the recognition that every life has value, that every human story matters, and that the destruction of a single innocent soul can be as damaging to a nation's spirit as the loss of a fortress or a fleet. When you protect what cannot be rebuilt, you preserve the foundation upon which all future rebuilding must stand. Without that foundation, every effort to rise again will falter. To live this way requires seeing beyond the moment. It means asking yourself not only will we win this fight, but also, what will remain of us when it is over? It means having the courage to say no to actions that would poison the very soil from which your future must grow. It is a choice to fight fiercely for your survival without sacrificing the essence of who you are. For in the end, the measure of victory is not just in what you have saved, but in what you have refused to lose. When the air grows thick with smoke and the world seems to lose its shape, some people add to the darkness. They spread fear with every word. They magnify despair with every gesture. And they choose to see only the ruins instead of the possibilities. But there are others, rare and remarkable, who decide in the midst of uncertainty to be a light. They do not wait for the storm to pass before they shine. They shine because the storm has come. And in doing so, they give others the strength to keep moving forward. To be a light in such moments is not easy. It demands the courage to stand apart from the noise, to speak with hope when hopelessness is the easier language, to act with kindness when anger is the more popular choice. It means taking on the responsibility of lifting others, even while you carry your own fears. The light you carry may not remove the darkness entirely, but it will give direction, and in times of chaos, direction is everything. Light does not argue with darkness. It simply exists, and in its existence the darkness is diminished. The same is true for those who choose to radiate hope in the face of destruction. You do not need to convince everyone that better days are ahead. You only need to live in a way that makes others believe they are possible. When the city trembles, when people whisper of defeat, When headlines scream of danger, your calm becomes an anchor. Your belief becomes the proof others need to see. Being a light is not about denying the reality of hardship. It is about refusing to let hardship dictate the entirety of the story. You can acknowledge the danger, the loss, the difficulty, and still insist that these are not the only truths. In the heart of conflict, light is the act of building even as others destroy, of reaching out even as others pull away, of speaking peace even as the world shouts war. The choice to be light often feels like rebellion. It defies the expectations of fear. It refuses the easy comfort of anger, and it stands against the pull of despair. This kind of rebellion is not about fighting others. It is about fighting the darkness that tries to live in you. It is the decision to protect your heart so that it remains a source of warmth for those around you. And when others see that your light has not gone out despite the storm, they begin to tend their own flames again. The truth is, the smallest light can be seen farther than the loudest shout can be heard. A single candle in a blackened room can guide a person to safety, just as a single voice of hope can pull someone back from the edge of surrender. You may not realize how far your light travels, but someone somewhere will find their way because of it. And in that way, choosing to be the light becomes more than just a personal act of survival. It becomes a lifeline for others. To be the light is to be a reminder that even in the thickest smoke, the sky still exists above it. That beyond the rubble there is still ground on which to build again. And though you may not see the end of the storm, your light assures others that the storm will end, and that they will not face its aftermath alone.